All right, guys, God bless you and welcome to This Is It, 4321 Before the Fire. All right, guys, listen, I want to check in this morning. Today is Passover. We're celebrating Passover today, and what we're going to do is we're going to have communion. So the tradition of communion for Christianity comes from the Passover, and that's the breaking of the bread and the drinking of the wine. Do this in remembrance of me. So anyway, guys, I've had some, it's so crazy what's happened over here in the last 48 hours. Um, I'm going to stitch together some little videos that are on my phone. I took, um, out of the 7 billion people on planet Earth, out of 7 billion people, the Lord brought someone into my hemisphere within the last 48 hours, the last 3 or 4 days, named Eden. Eden, like the Garden of Eden. And Eden is just turned 13, and she and her mom came to visit me, and the Lord set up the encounter. It's so supernatural that my head's been spinning for 2 days, and it looks to me like the restoration of Eden would be the message. Now, for those of y'all that have been following the ministry, you guys know that the Lord sent me to the desert. He's done a lot of things to show me and to communicate to me where we are and what's going on, what time we're living in. And we had the get together in Grand Junction, the great getting together, Grand Junction, grand coming together. Remember the two shipping containers on the corner of Rainbow and Casimir, Isaiah 54. Y'all remember that? As I made a covenant with Noah, so shall I make a covenant with thee of everlasting peace. The word Casimir is covenant of peace or proclamation of peace. So that was impossible, and that was beyond supernatural. And it rained in the yard that the people were in, but it wasn't even raining on the street out in front of the house when people asked if I would baptize them. And I said, we're not set up for it. And then it rained on the crowd inside the yard, but it wasn't raining out on the street. That's pretty supernatural. So everybody got baptized. It was fascinating. Then we had other get-togethers. The Lord sent me to Chinati. I don't know if y'all remember that. And I thought maybe I was like, why would you send me to the desert? 8 hours into the desert. It's like, okay. And he said, we're going to meet face to face. And I thought that meant I had to die. So my close friends knew that I waved off. I said, I love you guys. I don't think I'm coming back from this. And they said, we don't think you're coming back either. Anyway, and I went to the desert to skydive into a canyon where he told me he would show me exactly where to set up my LZ. And he did. And I skydived into a canyon, which was, you either make it or you die, basically, or you get out of there on an ambulance ride for sure. Anyway, but yeah, he had me land in a canyon. And my LZ was two big red triangles coming together, making an X. And one red triangle was filthy dirty. The other one was perfectly clean. And on the clean side was a clear running stream. And the Lord had told me, go back to your little room in Chinati. It's like a little Garden of Eden in the desert. And he said, open the Bible. And I opened up to Isaiah, and I remember it said, I will make streams in the desert, water out of dry ground. Yeah, it was just like unbelievable. So anyway, he split my LZ in half, but when I was walking to put my LZ out where the Lord told me go down this canyon, I looked down and there were two black rocks about this size. They were about that size. And the Lord said, pick up those two rocks. And well, there were hundreds, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this word, of trillions of rocks, because the whole canyon is little rocks from rushing water through that canyon, pulling all the little rocks into the canyon. So the whole bed is all little rocks, little, big, medium. It's all rocks. So when the Lord told me to pick up those two rocks, I was like, okay, I've maybe lost my mind. Pick up the two black rocks. And I picked them up, and the Lord said, now put them together. And he was showing me that I would be the person that he would use to put the rock back together, Matthew 16, right side up, upside down, male and female. You flip the female and you put them back together and the two become one. In Genesis, we know it means when he took the rib out of Adam, it said to limp as if one-sided, like 1 foot up, 1 foot down, to limp as if one-sided. So anyway, oddly enough, he gave me 2 halves of the same rock, told me to put them together, and they were 2 halves of the same rock that had been split in half, sitting side by side in a riverbed 8 hours into the desert. That's not possible, especially since I'm the guy that the Lord would use to show people what being on the rock is. Okay. Then we had Night Under the Stars. You know, a lot of people have made the mistake of thinking, or they've tried to designate these events as, oh, it's got to be the end. And I'm like, no. It's, I always hope that if we have some kind of get together, I hope that the end is right then, that the calling away is then. However, the Bible says no one knows the hour of the day, and people that make the horrible mistake of trying to pin a date on when the end is, stop it. Don't do it, because then you know what you'll do? You'll go, well, I thought it was going to be over then and it didn't happen. Then you'll start losing faith. Every time you pick a date and it doesn't happen, then you start, oh, no, it's not going to happen. You're never supposed to do that. And I don't do it. And anyone that says I do it is not true. I remember the one time I really learned my lesson was the Hoover Dam. And I said, do I think it's going to happen? Yes. But do I believe that nothing may happen? Absolutely. So then I saw the way people react to that. And so I don't ever pick a date, ever. But anyway, if you do that, stop it. Don't do it. It's wrong. Okay, next thing. We had Night Under the Stars, and the Lord was showing us that one of our eyes went to a star. He did it with a supernatural miracle. He said in front of Corey and Zach while we were driving before the get-together, Jonathan, step out on faith and tell Corey and Zach that I told you our eye goes to a star, and if you'll step out on faith tonight when it turns dark, I will show up at the ark. I mean, what? The Lord's going to show up at the ark? I was like, okay, duh. So I looked at Corey and Zach and I said, guys, here's what the Lord just told me, and I don't know what it means. It's just said, so sure enough, that night we zipped over to the ark from Beach City, and it was kind of drizzly out, and the clouds were coalescing like it was going to rain real hard. And when we got out to the ark, I stepped in that little building and I was talking to Corey and Zach and Alex and Alyssa and Jim and Karen. And the Lord said that Jim and Karen had to go. It didn't turn out to be a positive thing, I don't think, in their world, because they saw the miracle and they still have not accepted where we are on the timeline. But anyway, when we got out there, I was in the little building talking to those guys, and I looked up, and oh my gosh, all the clouds had coalesced into like a ball, and the moon was right in the center. It made a giant eye in the heavens, a giant eye it was like a rainbow eye. I photographed it, I documented it, but all the stars were still out. If you show up tonight, I will prove to you, I will show up to prove to you your eye goes to a star, and an eye shows up in the sky with all the stars out. Okay, if that's not the Lord, I don't know what is. So anyway, all these supernatural things have happened. Now Eden is in town. Eden is 13. She's right at that age before you cross into that bat mitzvah adulthood. She's a pure little girl. It's fascinating what's going on here, and I've documented it. I got it on my phone. We're going to stitch it together for you. When she was coming here, I said, this looks like maybe the restoration of Eden, which is the restoration of all things, because Eden's been in a back and forth with herself, and she knows it. She asked if she could come to San Antonio, if I would meet with her, and the Lord said, absolutely. So Eden and I went down the alley, and we prayed Our Father together. I've never prayed an Our Father in that alley with anyone but Michael. That's it. And I asked the Lord, why do you want me to go to the alley to take her down there and pray Our Father with her? And I heard the Lord say, look, and I looked over, and there that big stained glass window was. Eden was the bottom of the stained glass window, with Adam being kicked out of Eden and then Christ ascending into heaven. And there is Eden standing in the alley in front of a stained glass window that has Adam leaving Eden. Well, when they got here, we took them to lunch the first day, and we said, let's go meet at a place called Sam's Burger Joint. And we went over there, and we walked in, and we sat down at a table that would accommodate all of us together. And we had a little group. And there was one guy sitting at the bar by himself, and he was just kind of an old codger, you know. It's like just an, and he turns around and he starts engaging. Hey, you remember the drink called a Quaalude? And I'm thinking, oh no. I'm here with Eden and her mom and Corey and Zach and myself, and we're here to talk to this young lady about what's going on in her world and what we can do to help her. And here's this guy jumping in our group. Ooh, a Quaalude. I'm like, oh no. It's like, so I look at him and I go, you know, the Quaalude pill was responsible for more wrecked cars probably than anything that's ever been made. It was a horrible drug. He goes, I'm talking about the drink. And I said, so I intervened. I stepped in front of the table where we're all sitting so he wouldn't try and just dominate that conversation with the table because it was wrong. And I stepped in front of him and I said, yeah, okay, well, I appreciate you. Thank you very much. We're going to chat. I was giving him a soft exit. And then I started to turn around. He goes, y'all remember in 1994? Y'all remember in 1994? And that was one of those moments. On the way over to the Sam's Burger Joint, they were meeting us in their car, and Corey and Zach and I were together. So on the way over there, we were talking in the car, and I said, this sure looks like the restoration of Eden. I mean, why a girl named Eden is here with us, and she's struggling with kind of a bipolar issue, good and evil, and she wants help. And so I told the guys, I said, it looks like the Lord's going to restore Eden. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that just mind-blowing? And this guy blurts out 1994. Now we're inside the restaurant, and the guy blurts out, you remember 1994? And 1994 in the Bible is epistrepho, to turn, to return, to convert. I turn back towards, I come to myself. So no longer one up, one down, limping, but both eyes up, both feet on the ground. You know what's crazy? So Eden went on a little shopping spree with her mom, and I saw her the next day, and she had bought a pair of jeans. And on the jeans are stars. Well, today when you see stars on clothing, most of them are upside down like Baphomet. The stars on her jeans are right side up. But more than that, there's a full star that's on her jeans, and they're kind of like wide bell bottoms. And there's a full star on the right leg and a full star on the left leg. And the two stars, if you're looking from behind, they come together and make one full star. Where I'm sitting talking to you, I'll have Zach videotape the floor I'm on. It's all stars. It's like I'm standing on the stars. It's so fascinating to see all these things rolling out. There's no way a girl named Eden could be here and I would walk down the alley and pray Our Father with her. And I got to see the change in her countenance. I got to see it. I witnessed it. I saw it through her veil. And she smiled and she changed. I could see it. Doesn't mean, you know, the enemy won't throw darts at her, because he always does at all of us. But anyway, how fascinating. Anyway, so we're going to stitch together the little videos I have. I don't want to put Eden in the videos because she's 13, and out of respect to her and her mom. But so we're figuring out how to edit them to show them to you so you guys can freak out with us. All right, this afternoon, we're going to do a communion ceremony, and I'm going to try and do one of those premiere where you schedule it for like 4, maybe 5 o'clock, because I have these guests that are leaving in a little while, and I have to be here with them. And so then we're going to have oh, by the way, Eden is celebrating her first communion here today also with us. Her first communion on Passover. Eden. That's crazy. Anyway, all glory to God, guys. All right, so I'm going to check in. I am checking in We're going to set a premiere for communion service, so just your bread and your wine. Some people are thinking, oh, we're going to do the whole Passover. No, 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 no. We're celebrating communion, which comes from the Passover. We're observing that it's Passover, that today is what we're going to observe as Passover, and we're going to do communion on Passover. Okay, all right. Let's go. All right, guys, here we go.